Hello, my name is Becca Staggs. I am an Army CYS teacher and 4-H leader for some of the 4-H clubs in our after-school kindergarten and school-age program. Today, I will be talking about 4-H Cloverbuds. This training is for 4-H leaders who would like to run a 4-H club for children ages 5 to 8 years old, which are generally your kindergarten, first, and second graders. Before we get started, please make sure you have completed 4-H 101 training so you are properly prepared for today's Cloverbuds training. Cloverbuds developed out of a need to meet the interests of younger children who wanted to participate in 4-H clubs with their older siblings. Today, we will cover how to apply the experiential learning techniques and 4-H requirements to children who fall in the 5 to 8-year-old age range. In this training, we will look at age-appropriate programming, the resources you can use to build your 4-H Cloverbuds Club, and what your goals, program plans, meetings, activities, and journals will look like for this age group. We will conclude with some tips and tricks that I have found useful when running a 4-H club, especially at this age level. When we look at age-appropriate programming, we want to answer the questions: what do we notice about the youth we are working with? What are their tendencies? What skills and abilities do they have? What skills do they need to work on? For kindergartners, we see our largest range of abilities and skills. You may have some kindergartners who can barely recognize their letters alongside others who can already read and write basic sight words. This presents a unique challenge. We need to make sure we keep the wide range of abilities and needs in mind when we plan our 4-H clubs. Your kindergartners may still have preschool tendencies. They will still be learning independent bathroom habits, may put inappropriate things in their mouths, and are generally learning how to do school, which simply means getting used to the routine and schedules involved with riding the bus, attending school, and doing homework. We have to keep in mind that our kinders cannot read or write yet, so we have to adjust our activities accordingly. 5-year-olds have a difficult time communicating clearly and expressing their emotions in an appropriate way. They don't handle competition well, so we have to take it upon ourselves to help our kinders develop communication skills and sportsmanship, great skills to work on through a Cloverbuds Club if that is what your group needs to do. All of the children who fall under the Cloverbuds category tend to have short attention spans, kinders especially so. This means long-term projects are a challenge. We'll have to break things up into shorter activities and keep things varied to keep up interest. I'm sure you've noticed your 5-year-olds love to copycat. This time period is a great opportunity to teach independence and self-responsibility. Mimicry is normal at this age. If you have a mixed age group, it is important to help older children who are annoyed by this behavior understand that it's normal and how to handle the situation patiently. It is also important to help older children understand that their examples will be copied. Lastly, 4-H provides us with many opportunities to continue gross and fine motor development with the children. As the children get older, we notice they start to get more independent and need us less. Your first graders really want to please now that they've gotten comfortable in school and have generally developed basic reading and writing skills. They can still be emotional, but have developed basic communication skills and are beginning to use compromising skills regularly and successfully. 6-year-olds can handle a little competition. Many of them love to be first, so we have to teach them that we can't always be first and continue good sportsmanship education. Additionally, our first graders are more comfortable kinesthetically and are ready for games and projects that are more physically challenging. Our 7 to 8-year-olds are helpers, which is great to have in a 4-H club. Kids who love to help mean we can let the club be more student-led. As I'm sure you've noticed, children in the second grade are starting to come into their personalities. They are much more confident in themselves and are becoming more social as they transition into third grade. With confidence and personality comes a desire to lead, so we often have to help children differentiate between being bossy and being a good leader. Provide your second graders with leadership opportunities as much as possible to help them develop appropriate leadership skills, which is another great skill option to focus on in your Cloverbuds group, if you are noticing this is what your club needs. Lastly, second graders are generally fluent readers and writers and have become familiar with their own kinesthetic abilities, so as leaders, we can generally use more of the 4-H curriculum without as much adjusting. What does this mean for your 4-H Cloverbuds Club? First off, your Cloverbuds will love activities. Around third grade, children start to prioritize socializing. Our Cloverbuds still prefer playing, which means they will love having projects to work on. At the same time, your Cloverbuds are going to need variety and individualization. This means that while we will be building 2 or 3 skills over time, our youth will need a variety of projects and activities to build those skills and remain interested. We will talk about strategies to incorporate variety and keep up interest later in the webinar. Your activities will also need to be individualized to your group's needs and abilities. This includes changing reading and writing activities to be more drawing and picture-based, waiting to do that special science project until your kids have learned self-control so they won't accidentally or purposefully put a toxic ingredient in their mouths or eyes, providing older youth the opportunity to lead projects or be the helpers for the younger children so they don't get bored, and so on. In a nutshell, your group will be different every year. Be sure to make adjustments so your 4-H Cloverbuds Club can be as successful as possible. We want to make sure our goals are age appropriate so that they can be achievable and realistic. We also want to make sure our goals are measurable so you can gather evidence that your club met its goal. Your goals will be located at the top of your program plans. To write your goals, you will need to answer the following questions. What skills will you build? What skills do your Cloverbuds need? What would you like to achieve with your Cloverbuds? To help you out, I recommend basing your skills off of the 4-H Life Skills Wheel. It provides a list of skills we work on through 4-H. I recommend picking 2 or 3 skills to focus on. These skills are not learned overnight, so to keep our goals achievable, it is best to only focus on 2 or 3. Next, we want to answer, how are we going to teach these skills? In other words, what types of projects or activities are you going to use to teach the skills your Cloverbuds will be working on? And lastly, how are you going to measure the skills taught? Are the children going to present what they learned in 4-H at the end of the club? Are they going to have a finished journal or portfolio reflecting their work and growth? Are you going to record quotes that demonstrate youth have developed the skill? Remember, your goals and skills will be dependent on your group. Especially considering the age of Cloverbud members, we will need to allow for variety and make sure our program plan is individualized to the group we are working with. For example, say we want our Cloverbuds to work on teamwork, cooperation, and communication because the children we are working with are having difficulty expressing themselves appropriately and figuring out how to work with each other. These skills allow for a lot of variability. We can play games to work on sportsmanship and teamwork. We can complete engineering challenges in small groups. We can work on collaborative art pieces. To do all of these things, we need to be able to communicate well to complete the projects. So if we put this all together, we can write a goal. By the end of the year, members will be able to complete an engineering team challenge cooperatively using good communication. Be sure to keep in mind how you plan on collecting evidence. In this case, one might take pictures of the youth working on and completing the challenge and record quotes from the children as they work on their project. Refer to the goal examples and goal writing training from 4-H 101 to further help you out with goal writing. Now that we have our goal or goals, we can write our program plan. We need to keep some things in mind when program planning for the Cloverbuds age group. Remember, you need to build a skill over time, so your activities should all work toward building your skill and meeting your goal or goals. Our 5 to 8-year-olds tend to have short attention spans, so they are going to need a wide variety of activities to learn their skills and will need long-term projects broken up into smaller, more manageable activities. A lot of times, it helps to work toward a big reward or create several checkpoints along the duration of your 4-H club. For example, if your Cloverbuds want to learn cooking, your first few lessons might be kitchen safety, proper food handling, and how to use measuring cups and spoons. The next activity can be using these skills to make a popular recipe, like cookies. Only the kids who participated in the first 3 activities can make and enjoy the cookies because they learned the appropriate skills. Our 5 to 8-year-olds tend to enjoy the process more than the product. They want to learn how to use the clay and the pottery wheel, but aren't too concerned with the finished product. That's okay. Allow for this to happen. They are still learning the skill even if they never end up with a completed project. Lastly, it is imperative to get student input to ensure that you have interested youth who are invested in their club. 4-H needs to be as student-led as possible, and a way to make this happen is to get their input. Your club members can brainstorm, draw or write ideas on a graffiti wall, or even write their own lesson plans to gather ideas. Here are some resources to help you with your activity and program planning. 4-H Mall has your hard copy curriculum and a ton of materials ready to order. Utah State Discover has a bunch of ready-to-use mini curriculums that are 6 activities long, many of which are appropriate for Cloverbuds. North Dakota State has a large variety of Cloverbuds lessons ready to use and already broken down for you to help provide that variety we keep talking about. NDSU also has project sheets that will help you with the program planning portion of your club if you are wanting to focus on a more specific skill like photography or gardening. Ohio State's Click It, Print It, Do It lessons have great activities just for Cloverbuds. These are not as complete as some of the other curriculums available to you. You may need to add in the experiential learning questions necessary to our activities, but they are still super useful. You'd be surprised what you could find just by typing what you need into Google. A lot of options pop up just by typing 4-H Cloverbuds or 4-H activities into your search bar. Lastly, use the people around you to help out. Seek out someone who has been a 4-H leader before, all the better if they already worked with a Cloverbuds club. They will probably be your best resource for ideas and will hopefully be willing to share past program and lesson plans with you. Keep in mind when using these resources the unique needs of the age group we are working with. Read through the curriculum and be ready to adjust according to the members you have. You may need to turn a portion of the activity that involves reading or writing into a drawing activity so non-writers and non-readers can participate. Or add in a little competition to a game that is otherwise non-competitive so older children have an added challenge and remain interested. Moving on to actually running your 4-H Cloverbuds Club. Meetings are going to look a bit different at this age level. As you know from your 4-H 101 training, your club will have officers, at least 6 meetings, and 10 hours of club time. Concerning officers, this age group does not handle elections particularly well because of the type of competition. The younger your Cloverbuds, the more likely their feelings will get hurt by elections. So I recommend rotating offices every month so all the children get a chance at leadership. This is a great behavior management technique as well. Members who set the best examples get to be in a leadership role. If you have a mixed age group, elect one or two of the officers and rotate what's left over. This way, older children can experience the election process and get what they need out of meetings, while younger children still feel they have a fair chance at being an officer without getting their feelings hurt. If you do hold elections, consider holding elections more than once a year. It gives youth who don't want to be officers anymore an easy out. Plus, it keeps youth who want to remain officers motivated and provides youth with more chances at being an officer. The business portion of your meeting needs to be less than 15 minutes. The president will open the meeting, the vice president will lead the pledges, and the secretary will take attendance. Then, if it works for your group, the members can share a few announcements. Cloverbuds love to talk and share, so you may need to put a time limit on announcements. Generally, Cloverbuds aren't interested in the voting process. Run your meetings in a way that works for your group. It may change every year. Lastly, conclude your 4-H meeting with that day's Cloverbud lesson. When planning and leading your activities, don't forget that your lessons should be working toward building the skills stated in your goals. I recommend doing 2 or 3 15 to 30-minute activities. The advantage to running your Cloverbuds meeting this way is that the variety and flexibility needed for this age group will be automatically built in. Plus, many of the lessons provided in the resources we reviewed earlier are set up this way, making your job easier. This also makes it easier to include those checkpoints the kids will need while they work towards their goal. If you have limited materials or your activity calls for smaller group sizes, break up the kids into small groups and rotate activities. Remember, you'll be doing 2 or 3 activities for most meetings. So if you have enough adult help, then run both activities at once and then have the groups switch. Another option to help with this situation where you have limited materials is breaking up into small groups and giving each member of each group a job. For example, say you are making pizza from the vegetables you grew in your gardening club, and there are only enough materials to make 4 pizzas. Break up the kids into groups of 4. In each group, one person will roll out the dough, the next person will spread the sauce, the third person will put on the cheese, and the fourth person will put on the vegetables and other toppings. While waiting to do their jobs, members can cut up the vegetables or measure out ingredients. If you have a mixed age group, meaning kinders, first, and second graders together, then let your older youth be helpers and leaders for your activities. This makes your job as a leader easier, helps keep your 4-H club as student-led as possible, and keeps your older kids interested since they will probably be faster than the younger kids at finishing the activities. Journals are a challenge at this age group. Generally, Cloverbuds are not interested in doing much reading and writing, so we have to get creative if we want our members to keep journals. Some ideas to help with completing those journals: consider doing journals on a separate day. By the time you are done with your meeting and activities, the kids may be too tired to do yet one more thing. If you can, do journals on another day when they aren't as busy. Incentivize journal work. If your youth participate in the Boys and Girls Club Power Hour program, let their journal work count toward Power Hour. Journals can be entered to win prizes, either through 4-H or just in-house. If youth are working on their journals and keeping up with it, periodically do journal checks where youth can earn extra privileges. You can also make interactive journals that are basically making interactive pop-up books. Encourage youth to include photos and artwork to record their 4-H memories. A lot of youth are more likely to do their record keeping if they can make it a part of a portfolio that includes their work and achievements. However you decide to run your 4-H Cloverbuds Club, including your program plan, meetings, activities, journals, and special projects, the important thing is to be sensitive to your members' needs and to do what works for the group you have. To wrap up, here are some tips and tricks. Work smarter, not harder. This means things like cross-planning. If you are affiliated with Boys and Girls Clubs, you can cross-use plans to meet your requirements. Network with other 4-H leaders to get ideas and exchange plans. Use the resources reviewed in this training. 4-H has provided the curriculum for you. Use it. The curriculum is really great quality. The kids will love the activities, and it takes a lot longer to create everything from scratch. Let your students help after all. After all, 4-H is supposed to be as student-led as possible. Go for quality, not quantity. Only work toward 2 or 3 skills and goals at a time so your club can be successful. Use what works for your group. You don't have to use every single thing in a curriculum or on a lesson plan if that doesn't work for your group. What a typical 4-H club does not necessarily mean that those things are all mandatory. As long as you have the right number of members, turned in your paperwork, have 6 meetings and 10 hours of 4-H time, then everything else is up to you and your Cloverbuds. Especially working with such a young group, we may not be able to do a formal presentation, but we could do an informal show and tell about what we've been doing in 4-H. Do what you can, do what works. Be flexible. It's okay if it takes extra time to complete your program plan. Reversely, if you go through your program plan faster than expected, it's okay to add on. Move at the pace that works best for your group. Gather evidence because you deserve credit for all of the hard work you are doing. Taking pictures, recording quotes, and making journals with your members are just a few options. I can't stress it enough. Do what works for your club. Every group of Cloverbuds will be different and will have unique needs. Be willing to ask questions of other 4-H leaders, your 4-H liaisons, and of your 4-H members so your club can be the best it can be. Lastly but not least, enjoy it. Don't do projects you don't like. It's important that you have fun too. Your Cloverbuds will have more fun and learn more from someone who enjoys or even has a passion for the project that they are working on. And with that, our training is concluded. Thanks for listening in. If you have any questions, feel free to contact one of us. Again, I'm Becca Staggs, and I would like to thank you for your time and wish you a fun and successful year with your 4-H Cloverbuds Club.